Girlfriend wants therapy with her ex, not with me. She's struggling with trauma after recently learning about her father's abuse from her mom, but she claims I'm not helpful, while her ex apparently is, and I'm not allowed to object. Me, 32 million, and my girlfriend Claire, 29 female, have been together almost 4 years, lived together for nearly 2. No kids, no major blow-ups in the past, nothing like that. I've always thought we had a pretty stable, respectful relationship. Obviously every couple has issues, but we've worked through them, until now. Last month, everything got flipped upside down. Claire got back in contact with her mom after being LC/NC for a while. That's a long story in itself. Anyway, they talk, and apparently her mom drops this huge bomb that Claire's dad used to be abusive. Like full-on emotional and physical abuse toward her mom, and maybe, this part is fuzzy, also to Claire when she was really little. Claire completely spiraled. I don't blame her. It's a lot to process. She's been crying randomly, having nightmares. She'll just stare into space sometimes and zone out for hours. I've done what I can to support her, made meals, gave her space, stayed up with her during breakdowns, even took time off work when it got really bad. But here's where it gets weird. I suggested we go to therapy together, couples therapy, or even just me tagging along to her individual one, to understand what she's going through and be supportive in a useful way. She shut that down immediately, said she was already doing trauma work, and it's not something I can be part of. I didn't get it at first. I assumed she meant private sessions. But no, she's doing therapy with her ex, Kevin. Yes, joint therapy sessions with her. Example. And I'm not supposed to be upset about that. Kevin is a trauma-informed social worker or counselor or something, not her therapist. But apparently, he's supporting her, and they've started attending sessions together with a professional to unpack her trauma, because he understands her past. He knows how to be emotionally present. He creates a safe space, blah blah blah. I found out by accident. She didn't even tell me. I overheard her talking to her friend on speaker, and she casually mentioned our session with Kevin. I asked her about it later, and she tried to act like it was normal, like, it's not a big deal, we're just processing things together. When I told her that's not okay and that I felt completely blindsided, she flipped it and said I was making it about me. I'm sorry, what? You're doing trauma bonding therapy with your ex and I'm the one being selfish for not being okay with it? She told me flat out, I'm not equipped to handle this part of her healing, that I'm too logic-minded and dismissive when she expresses certain things, and that she feels emotionally safer around Kevin in this context. But somehow it's still not romantic, and I should trust the process. I asked her straight up why she didn't come to me first. She said she knew I'd react like this and didn't want to deal with it. Then added that Kevin is the only one who's ever made her feel seen in that deep, empathetic way. Yeah, that hurt to hear. A lot. I feel like I've been emotionally kicked out of my own relationship, like I'm the guy she lives with, but someone else gets access to her emotional world. I've been trying to be patient and respectful, but I'm hitting my limit. We sleep in the same bed, but I feel like a roommate now. She barely touches me, barely talks, unless it's about therapy, with Kevin. I tried talking to a few friends about it. I got mixed responses. Some said I should suck it up. This isn't about me. She's going through something heavy, and she has a right to seek support where she feels safest. Others straight up said, this is sketchy, and I'm right to be uncomfortable, that it's crossing a boundary, and I should tell her to either do therapy with a professional alone, or we're done. I'm not trying to control her or make her healing about me, but at what point am I just not in the picture anymore? Because right now it feels like I'm being slowly edged out, emotionally replaced, and gaslit into thinking I'm a bad person for not being cool with it. And here's what's messing with my head. If she really needed Kevin for this trauma-informed support, why hide it? Why not just say it up front? Why go behind my back? Also, side note, their breakup wasn't exactly clean. She dumped him for being too intense. So I'm sitting here wondering how suddenly he's the most emotionally regulated man in the world, and I'm the heartless partner who just doesn't get it. This whole thing feels off. It feels like I'm being set up to look like the unsupportive boyfriend while she leans into whatever this weird emotional intimacy with her ex is. I keep second-guessing myself, like, maybe I am being cold or not handling things right, but even so, this just doesn't sit right. We're supposed to be a team, right? But now she's telling me not to ask questions, not to check in, not to be part of her therapy. Just wait in the background, like an extra while she bonds with someone she used to sleep with. She even said to me last night, I don't need to justify how I heal. But this isn't just about how she heals. It's about how our relationship survives something like this. And honestly, I don't know if it can. Am I just being jealous and insecure here? Or is this a huge red flag I'm ignoring because I'm too scared of looking like the bad guy? I've never felt so excluded and unwanted in a relationship before. It's like I'm only allowed to be supportive if I shut my mouth and never express my own emotions. Anything I say is turned into emotional pressure or lack of safety. And the crazy part is I've never once yelled at her, insulted her, or made her feel guilty. But now I'm being treated like I'm some kind of threat to her recovery. I don't know what to do. I feel powerless. I want to help, but I'm not allowed. I want to understand, but I'm not safe to talk to. I want to feel included, but I'm making it about myself. Meanwhile, her ex gets to be the gentle, supportive one she runs to, the one she lets in. Anyone else been in a situation like this? I don't know how much longer I can pretend this feels okay, because honestly, it doesn't. Update 1. It's been about a week since I posted, and things spiraled way faster than I thought they would. After sitting with everything for a few days, I decided to bring it up again carefully. I didn't want to come off as defensive or accusatory. I just wanted to express that I felt a little sidelined and confused, especially considering I offered to go to therapy with her and was told no, only to find out she's already doing joint therapy with her ex. I wasn't aggressive. I didn't even raise my voice. I basically just said something along the lines of, I want to support you, but it feels like I'm on the outside of a major part of your life right now. She stared at me for a few seconds, then just flat out said, You're not emotionally safe for me right now. At first I thought I misheard her. I asked what she meant. She told me that by bringing this up again, I was centering myself and invalidating her trauma. I told her that wasn't my intention at all, that I've been supportive through everything. But this situation just doesn't sit right with me. I asked how she could expect me not to feel anything about her doing intimate trauma work with her ex, while shutting me out completely. That's when she said, This is why I didn't want you involved. You're making it about control. This is emotional manipulation. You're trying to weaponize my trauma to make me feel guilty. I honestly didn't even know what to say at that point. I told her I wasn't trying to control anything, I just wanted to feel like I mattered in the relationship. Like I wasn't just here to cook dinner, do errands, and quietly exist while she emotionally reconnects with the guy she dated before me. She got up, packed a bag, and said she was going to her mom's. No warning, no, let's talk later. Just left. That night, I texted her twice. One message was just checking if she was okay, and the other was asking if we could talk when she was ready. The next morning, I was blocked. Texts, calls, socials, everything. Only person I heard from was her mom. She messaged me something like, Claire needs space. This is an incredibly difficult time for her. Please respect her boundaries and take time to reflect on how your behavior may be affecting her mental health. That message really hit me sideways. What behavior? I've been patient. I've given her space. I've done the chores. I've paid for food. I've let her shut down entire conversations when things got too heavy because I thought that's what support looked like. She didn't want to talk about trauma. Fine. She didn't want to see friends. Fine. She wanted to cut off her dad, then reconnect with her mom, then take space from her mom again. I was there. No complaints. And now, suddenly, I'm the one who's unsafe. For 2 days I didn't leave the apartment. Didn't eat much either. Just sat there going through old texts and trying to figure out if I actually did something that bad. But the more I thought about it, the more it felt like I was being pushed out of my own relationship on purpose. Like she had already picked someone else to be safe with, and now she needed a reason to make me the bad guy so it wouldn't look like betrayal. And yeah, that someone else is Kevin, her ex. I didn't mention much detail in the original post because I was trying to be fair, but Claire and Kevin had a messy breakup back in the day. She said he wasn't a bad person, just emotionally intense and a little too enmeshed for her liking. She claimed she needed time to grow on her own. That was 3 or 4 years ago. Since then, I thought she had completely moved on. But now, she's doing trauma bonding therapy with him. They meet twice a week. She won't tell me what they talk about. She refuses to even acknowledge how weird this is. And if I express any discomfort, it's emotional manipulation. And before anyone suggests I did something behind the scenes to trigger this, no. I didn't cheat, lie, yell, gaslight, nothing. I've spent the last 4 years being her support system. She leaned on me when she lost her job. I paid for half her therapy sessions before she found a cheaper clinic. I drove her to and from doctor's appointments when her anxiety was at its worst. I covered for her when she couldn't make rent 1 month. I never threw it in her face. I never asked for anything but honesty and respect. Instead, I'm getting ghosted by someone I live with, and mutual friends are starting to go quiet too. Some of them still follow me, but I'm not seeing any of their usual messages or group invites. One of them even canceled a dinner I was invited to and told me they were keeping things small this week. I'm not stupid. I know what's happening. She's already rewriting the story, and I'm the villain now. I'm the unsafe partner, the emotional manipulator, the guy who couldn't support a trauma survivor. But nobody's asking how I feel about being completely replaced and then shut out like I never mattered in the first place. My job's starting to take a hit too. I work in a collaborative creative role, and I've been distracted as hell. Made a dumb mistake in a client meeting that cost us a project. My manager gave me a soft warning, not a write-up, but close. I don't even know what I'm doing at this point. I'm locked out of my own relationship, unsure if it's over or just on pause, and being quietly iced out by the people I thought were in our shared circle. I keep asking myself, did I actually do something wrong? Or is this just a soft breakup wrapped in therapeutic language to make her look like the wounded one and me like the threat? Because it sure feels like she found an excuse to go back to someone who was already in the picture and just needed me to play the villain long enough to justify it. I'll update again if anything changes. I'm not chasing her anymore, but I can't shake the feeling that something about all of this just doesn't add up. Update 2. It's been almost 2 weeks since Claire left. And honestly, I was starting to let things go. I hadn't reached out again. I gave her the space she demanded. I stopped trying to understand things I wasn't going to get answers to. It wasn't until Kevin, of all people, contacted me that this whole thing started making even less sense. He messaged me and said he wanted to clear the air, said things had gone too far, and he didn't want bad blood. I didn't really want to meet, but curiosity got the better of me. So we sat down at some quiet cafe and talked. I didn't go into it expecting anything. I just wanted to hear his version. And yeah, I got answers, just not the kind that helped. Apparently Claire had been reconnecting with him for a while, like months, before her mom ever brought up the supposed trauma or abuse stuff. Kevin said she started messaging him out of nowhere, checking in on his life, asking deep stuff about healing and trauma processing. At first he thought it was just her trying to be friendly again, but then it became more consistent. He told me he was surprised when she asked if he'd do therapy sessions with her. He figured she just wanted someone who already knew her past. According to him, nothing physical happened, but he admitted, and this is his wording, not mine, that he still had feelings for her and always would. He also said that she'd been venting to him about how I didn't understand her, how I wasn't emotionally deep enough, how I tried to fix things too quickly instead of just holding space. That part really pissed me off. Claire never said anything like that to me. If she had, I would have backed off. But instead, she apparently decided to run her criticisms past her ex instead of the guy she was living with. So yeah, it was already clear she didn't want me involved from the start. The trauma reveal wasn't what pushed her toward Kevin. She was already leaning that way before it even came up. I asked him directly if they were together now. He didn't say yes, but he didn't say no. Just kind of shrugged and said, "We're supporting each other through a difficult time," which is code for they're together but don't want to admit it yet. That night, I emailed Claire. Nothing dramatic, just said I knew about the months of talking and that it felt like she used the trauma excuse to cover up the fact that she'd already emotionally jumped ship. I didn't call her names. I didn't threaten anything. I just told her I deserved better than to be left like that. Her response came 3 days later. She still hasn't unblocked me on anything else. The email was short, said she was disappointed I violated her privacy by confronting Kevin, and that I needed to respect the emotional boundaries she'd set. No apology, no explanation, just more therapist speak and vague claims about healing journeys. What I found out next made it worse. She's moved in with Kevin. I didn't even hear it from her. I heard it from our old neighbor, who saw her bringing boxes into his place a few streets away. I asked him to keep it quiet because I'm not trying to start drama, but yeah, she didn't go back to her mom's. She went to him. and now I'm getting the cold shoulder from mutuals. People who were in our friend group are acting weird. I'm not getting invited to stuff anymore. A few unfollowed me. Another friend told me, off the record, that Claire's been processing her truth, and that people are trying to support her right now. I'm not stupid. I know what that means. She's painting herself as the brave trauma survivor who had to leave a relationship where she wasn't safe to heal. And I'm the guy she had to escape from. No one's saying it directly, but I'm being frozen out. Slowly, quietly, and without giving me a chance to defend myself. The worst part? I've got nothing to show for it. No closure, no conversation, just radio silence, and this new version of me floating around that I don't even recognize. I'm angry now, not even just about the breakup, but about how easy it was for her to rewrite everything, to just decide I was unsafe, say it out loud enough times, and have people believe it without proof. It's like the whole relationship never happened, or if it did, it's been rewritten into some kind of trauma timeline where I was just the roadblock she had to break through to finally get to Kevin. I'm not going to chase anyone down to change their mind. If they believed I was the bad guy without even talking to me, they were never really on my side. But I'm also not just going to let people erase me like I didn't exist, or worse, like I was some emotional abuser who deserved to get ghosted. Next steps? I'm staying calm, watching, taking notes. I have no interest in drama, but if it comes to defending myself, I will. This isn't me lashing out. This is me realizing I was used, sidelined, and tossed aside for a story she wanted to tell. And that story didn't have room for me to be human, only for her to be the hero. Update 3. It's been a little over 3 weeks since Claire left, and things keep surfacing. I didn't go looking for anything, but pieces have been dropping into my lap, whether I like it or not. A few days ago, one of Claire's old friends reached out. I hadn't spoken to her much during the relationship, but she and Claire used to be close before they drifted. She didn't message to stir anything up, she just said she was sorry for what happened and felt like I deserved to know the full story. That's when things clicked in a way I hadn't expected. She told me Claire and Kevin had been seeing each other again well before the therapy thing started. She didn't know all the details, but said Claire was venting to her months ago about not being sure she wanted to stay with me and how being around Kevin made her feel more like herself. Apparently, there were sleepovers at first under the excuse of late-night therapy prep, then under the claim that she was too emotional to drive home. The friend didn't want to accuse her outright of cheating, but said it was obvious something had started before we ever officially broke up. It also turns out Claire was trying to preemptively manage how things would look. She told multiple people that I was shutting down her healing and that I didn't respect her trauma boundaries. One of our mutuals, who I've since cut off, told her that if she needed to get out, she should just do what she needed to do and not worry about how it makes him look. That part stuck with me, because that's exactly what she did. She didn't worry about how it would make me look, not when she blocked me, not when she moved out without warning, and definitely not when she moved in with Kevin. And people took her side without asking me a single question. I didn't even get a text, just silence, from people I considered actual friends. I'd been trying to stay civil. I didn't post anything online. I didn't call anyone out. But all this behind-the-scenes stuff changed that. I've been quiet, and in that silence she's managed to rewrite everything like our relationship was just some suffocating phase she had to escape. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here trying to figure out how I went from supportive partner to alleged emotional abuser in the span of 2 weeks. The part that really got to me, her mom messaged me again. I hadn't replied to anything since the first time she reached out, but this message was different. It was short, basically just said she didn't appreciate me spreading misinformation and that Claire is finally in a stable emotional environment. Except here's the thing. I never spread anything. I haven't told anyone her business. I haven't even talked about the abuse story because I didn't know enough to say anything confidently, and I didn't want to touch it. But if people are now accusing me of being the one who's lying or trying to harm her, then that's not just unfair, it's messed up. And it got worse. I found out Claire's been telling people that I refused to believe her trauma, and that I tried to make her choose between healing and our relationship. That's not even close to what happened. I encouraged therapy. I offered to go with her. The only thing I questioned was doing therapy with her ex, which I think anyone would raise an eyebrow at. So I've started documenting things. Not to start a fight, but to protect myself. Screenshots, dates, messages. I don't know what narrative she's building, but I'm not going to sit around and get blindsided if she decides to escalate it. One more thing. Someone sent me a screenshot from a private story she posted. I wasn't on it, obviously, but she posted a picture of her and Kevin, nothing romantic, just them at some scenic overlook. Caption was, "Safe here." That was it. Nothing explicit, but if you've ever been on the other side of something like this, you know what that caption means. At this point, I'm done pretending this is something it's not. She didn't just leave, she calculated it. She built a narrative that let her walk out of our life without having to face the consequences of being unfaithful or dishonest, and she knew that by framing it in therapy terms, most people would be too scared to question it. And honestly, that's manipulative. I supported her through panic attacks. I drove her to doctor's appointments. I gave her space when she asked for it, and stayed present when she needed company. And for what? So she could reframe me into the villain in a story that let her reconnect with someone she claimed was part of her past? I haven't responded to her since the last email, and I won't. I'm not interested in being part of whatever narrative she's building now, but I'm also not going to let her erase what happened just because she found a more comfortable version of the story to tell. At this point, I'm not heartbroken, I'm angry, and more than that, I'm clear-headed now. I see what this was, I see what she was doing, and I'm not going to let her drag my name through the dirt while she pretends this was all about trauma and healing. It wasn't. It was about convenience, and I was just the in-between. Final update. Alright, buckle up because this is the last time I'll talk about Claire or Kevin or any of this garbage. After everything that came out, the lies, the cheating, the fake trauma storyline that she used to throw me under the bus, I realized I couldn't just sit back and let my name keep getting dragged. Not just socially, but professionally too. A couple of shared contacts had already backed off from a freelance project I was up for because of recent personal stuff. I knew exactly what they were referring to. All these vague survivor posts Claire's little Twitter group had been dropping, all those sly comments about how she finally escaped a manipulative relationship. None of it was technically about me, but everyone knew it was about me. So I decided I was going to set the record straight. I pulled everything I had, screenshots from our shared calendar that proved she was still living with me when she started spending nights at Kevin's place. The email from her mom, the one where she outright says, "I never said your father abused me." Screenshots of Claire and Kevin texting behind my back, way before she told me she even reached out to him. Messages from mutuals where she talked about testing the waters with Kevin again, while still telling me she just needed time to heal. I put it all in one clean, factual email. No dramatic rants, just a timeline. Here's when she said X. Here's when she did Y. Here's the proof. I sent it to mutual friends, our old friend group chat, and even a couple of her friends who were the loudest online about how I weaponized her trauma. I didn't say pick a side. I just said, I've been slandered. If you believed it, now you know the truth. If you didn't, thanks for keeping quiet. I won't be speaking on this again. Then I posted a short version on my private social media, not the full receipts, just a statement. I'm not one for public drama, but I wasn't going to keep pretending like I didn't know what was being said about me. What happened next? Radio silence, like dead air. People who had been tweeting about me non-stop suddenly stopped tweeting altogether. The sub-tweets dried up. Her close friends deleted stuff. A few of them DM'd me with half apologies like, I didn't know the full story, and I was just trying to support her. Okay, fine. I didn't respond. I wasn't doing this to win people back. I just wanted my name clean. Kevin deactivated his Facebook a couple of days later. Someone told me he also locked down his Instagram and removed a bunch of posts. Claire? She didn't say anything publicly, but she did show up at my building 2 days later. I didn't let her in. She called my phone. Yes, I unblocked her, mostly out of curiosity. She left a voicemail saying she never meant for things to go this far, and that she's in a really fragile place, and I'm jeopardizing her recovery by turning people against her. She said, "You always said you cared about me. I'm asking you not to ruin my healing process." I didn't reply. What I wanted to say was, I wasn't invited to your healing. You made that very clear. Don't expect me to protect your image when you spent months trashing mine. She kept trying for a few more days. I had to change my locks because she still had a spare key from when we lived together. I also filed a basic report for harassment with the building in case she tried to show up again. She hasn't since. Oh, and I got the lease. She was never on it officially, so I just talked to my landlord and explained that she'd moved out and wouldn't be coming back, changed everything over to my name and cleared out her leftover stuff, what little she hadn't taken with her already. I didn't throw it out. I packed it in boxes, taped them up, and left them with her mom, who awkwardly thanked me and said, "I hope things settle down." That's pretty much it. The last thing I'll say is this. Claire is now apparently identifying as polyamorous. I only know this because someone sent me a screenshot of her talking about non-monogamy as a trauma-informed relationship model, basically spinning her entire betrayal into some self-help lifestyle brand. She's still with Kevin for now, but she's already hinting at multiple relationships being more healing for her nervous system. Okay, good luck with that. I'm not bitter. I'm not heartbroken anymore. I'm just done. I'm done letting people use their pain as a smokescreen for treating others like trash. I'm done bending over backwards to be the supportive boyfriend only to be accused of emotional abuse the second I ask for boundaries. I'm done being painted as the villain in stories I didn't even know were being written. So to Claire, if you somehow read this, I hope your new story works out better for you than the last one. Just do me one favor. Leave me out of the next chapter. I didn't deserve what happened, and I'm not going to act like I did just to make someone else feel better about betraying me. Thanks to everyone who kept it real. I'm moving on, finally.